fasting is very simple. It's something that everybody sort of understands intuitively, as opposed to trying to say, eat this, but don't eat that. So that's hard when you're dealing with a 70-year-old Filipino woman who's eaten the same thing for the last 70 years, right? You simply say, don't eat anything until dinner time, and no snacks and no fruit and nothing. So it's a lot easier because it's a lot simpler. And so I started using it. And then it was like, some of the cases we saw were just incredible. Like, so we published a case series in BMJ, the British Medical Journal, case reports. And so we had 3 patients who had about 20 years each of type 2 diabetes, about 5 years on exogenous insulin. And we started them on a fasting regimen, which wasn't too extreme, like 24 hours of fasting 3 times a week. That is, eat once a day on 3 days of the week. And with between 5 and 18 days, all 3 of them had come off all their insulin. And it's like, whoa, they were on high doses of insulin. And within a month, we basically got them off all their insulin. Within 2 months, I think all were essentially non-diabetic after 20 years of diabetes. Well, we advised them to stay away from sugar and some of the sort of, some of that stuff, right? Eat whole foods and that kind of standard sort of stuff. But, nevertheless, it was such an incredible response. And the thing about that was that diabetes is a huge risk factor for heart disease, stroke, and cancer. Those are the major killers of Americans. I have nothing against like ketogenic diets, low carbohydrate diets, but there's no reason why you couldn't implement them at the same time. And there's no reason why you can work these together, because it's a much better solution than just changing the diet, because you're changing both the diet, the what it is you're eating, but also the when it is you're eating. So even if you eat low carb, if you're eating constantly, I think you're only getting half the benefit. Well, on the one hand, they knew me, so they knew I wasn't crazy. But there was a lot of skepticism. The dietitians thought I was completely insane and wouldn't sign off on it like whatsoever. In fact, our clinic, we had to not involve the hospital at all. I tried to get a dietitian originally, so I worked with Megan Ramos, and then again did it herself and wound up, thinking, wow, this works really well. So it's very interesting because so my colleagues sort of were skeptical. I gave presentations at the hospital and so on about what fasting does, the physiology, and why it should be so beneficial. And then slowly what happened was that because we share a lot of patients, some of these cases were like just unbelievable. Like, so they started seeing people losing tons of weight, or people just coming off all their medications, all their insulin, and so when they saw it for themselves, they were like, whoa, what happened here? And the other thing is that a lot of the doctors sort of understood the physiology and that understood that there was nothing wrong with what we were doing. And most of them would say, hey, I used to do that in residency. So, and I was like 30 pounds lighter back then. So a lot of them just saw the truth of it sort of instantly. So in my area anyway, it very quickly became, okay, sort of within a year or two, it was like, okay, well, this makes a lot of sense, right? But it's still not, because I'm not like a university person, and it's still not widespread, and there's still a lot of this sort of academic inertia to sort of overcome, just like this whole calorie story. It's like, it's not a new story, but boy, do they like to hang on to that story.